What is the true intended meaning and power for the words that you speak in justice, that are spoken in justice, that are used in rendering judgment in the earth, whether it be between individual friends, family members, between former business partners? Why are the words that we speak so important that we should be learning each day how to use them correctly? Well, the answer lies in Proverbs 16:24, which reads, "Pleasant words are as a honeycomb, sweet to the soul, and health to the bones." Now, this reveals one of the reasons why justice and judgment have become a negative connotation when it comes to everyday men and women. We listen and we don't judge. Well, why don't we judge? Because for some reason, judgment has been misunderstood, it has been mislabeled, and it has been misidentified as the practice of guilting and shaming people when they have done wrong. This reminds me of a highly contested case where the ex-husband was definitely a piece of work. Like I cannot understate how difficult, challenging, and unbelievably ridiculous this person behaved towards my client who was his ex-wife. And what had resulted in this relationship between them was that she began to see herself as a victim to him as the villain. He was the big bad wolf and she was Little Red Riding Hood. And as we were preparing for trial, she made the statement to me that she wants to go before the judge. She wants the judge to see this, that, and the third that he has done. And the challenge with that was that she had recently revealed to me her own wrongdoing, her own bad choices in responding to his ridiculousness. And I was reminded of how these things almost always play out in the family court. When a judge perceives the type of hurt and bitterness that exists in a big bad wolf and a Little Red Riding Hood villain victim contract that ends up in the family court, the very best judges that I've seen in action take the time after rendering their decision to warn both parents that their behavior will hurt the children if they don't figure out how to make their relationship work for the benefit of the children. The very best judges don't only deal with the facts, the very best judges acknowledge that there's a lot of hurt in this room. A lot of times we don't see the person who's labeled or behaving more obviously as the villain. We don't see that that person is hurting. We don't see that that person is behaving out of a wounded place. We don't see that that person is set on a path of vengeance because of heartbreak, disappointment, or some other wound that this relationship has triggered. We see their behavior and it appalls us, it upsets us, it makes us want to guilt them and shame them. But in doing justice in broken relationships, we have to remember that the reason that we're given words to judge the situation is to bring healing and restoration. The power of life and death is in our tongue. This is the purpose of the discipline required by the Justice Code, to learn how to teach your mouth every day. to practice and discipline how to speak, because a person's behavior may outwardly irritate you, it might outwardly agitate you, it might even trigger places in you that are still in need of healing, and you want to punish or lash out. But when given the opportunity to speak life, given the opportunity to acknowledge that person's wounds, completely changes the game. And this is the role that we have in justice, is seeing the hurt on both sides. It's easy to assume that the person that takes on the identity of the victim is the one who hurts the most, but that couldn't be farther from the truth. Remember the kid in school who was always bullying people? The kid who was always name calling, pushing and shoving, starting fights? Remember that that kid had a situation at home that he or she were just too young to process, that they were bringing that hurt to school and they were taking it out on other kids because they were hurting. When we are judging, it's never about guilt and shame. It's never about punishment. And it's always about life, healing, and restoration. Because people navigating this life and navigating relationships, it will hurt your feelings. It will trigger pain. It will tempt you to draw in and protect yourself from everybody, like the turtle pulling his head and his arms into his shell. Right? But we all experience that pain in life. And whenever we're in a seat of judgment, our role and our responsibility and how we use our words, they are always intended for the intention of the king, which is truth and love, that we are instruments of life, healing, and restoration. Be blessed and encouraged. I look forward to seeing you for the next day of the challenge.